going to focus on creating your marketing and sales material. This is the focus of the session today. Hi, Gary. Good to see you. And we also have Stacy that is joining now. So we have, this is the third and final session of the core sessions that we're doing. And then we have a bonus session on Friday. But to recap, we worked on your offer on the first day, done. Second session, then we worked on your on your presentation, which is what you did and you got feedback on. Today, we are working on the marketing and sales material, really understanding what are you going to be doing for your test webinar as well, and what are you going to be doing in general to get people to register for your webinar. And then we're going to look at the final one on Friday. That's where we are doing a session on tech, like what kind of tech do you need to have, and I'll tell you a bit more as well later about that session later throughout the day. Now, one of the things that I would love to have from you today by the end of this day, for those of you that decide to participate, is a date when you're running your next webinar within the next 14 days. Because in the next 14 days, that's you will stop receiving support for this program after 14 days from now, right? So which will conclude in 30 days in total. So my recommendation is do a test webinar within the next 14 days, because that's when you're able to practice. Things are fresh, you can put things in motion. And then if something happens or you have questions or something happens during the webinar, or you don't know how to do something, we still have the WhatsApp group. You can still ask me questions. And we found that the people that got the most out of this program actually are the people that accepted the challenge and actually run their webinar within 14 days. So before we start, I'd love to know from you, who is willing to start their webinar, their test webinar, within 14 days? Give me a me in the chat so I know. All right, Addis is there, Mario is there, Tom is there, Gary. Okay, that's cool. I think so. One Gary's like me, the other Gary, I think so. Okay, we'll take it from there. We'll take it from there. But my recommendation, you'll see how I want this to be as simple as possible. Okay, so 28th of April. Okay, it's a bit far down. Peter, if you can do something within 14 days just to test, will be good. In particular, you will see also what I mean, and then you can make that final decision. Before we go into the marketing session, though, this is what we are going to do today. We're going to look first at marketing. What are the different ways in which you can market your webinar? Then we are going to explore the type of content that you will need. And then we have ChatGPT. So you will need to have your ChatGPT accounts ready for this session, because this entire session is going to be using ChatGPT. You will see all the prompts that I've created for you later. And then there will be an extensive time for a Q&A. So any other question that you might have, then you will have a chance to ask me. So if there is throughout today or things that you have thought throughout the week that you'd like to ask me, today is a great opportunity to do that. My question for you is, as we start every single session with a few shares on what did you learn from doing your webinar and applying and following the worksheet on your webinar material. I'd love to know from a few of you what were your lessons and learnings, because when we reflect on those, then we can integrate them better. Who would like to start?
I can start.
Yeah.
Marius, he's making fun of me, so I want you to start. No, but I think I mean, I want to say thank you, Simone, because it's really qualitative framework. And I learned a lot because you've done market study for a long time, and that brings together a lot of the research that we have done in the previous year. And what we like is that, or it's different because we were like presenting what we're doing and being open for Q&A. That's how we run it with Mario. And now it's a very different perspective. every time that I go to webinar that use this structure, I feel like that was a waste of time. Like I learned nothing. But I'm wondering, that's more of a question than a learning, is like, how do I not feel this way? Because when I do a Tony Robbins or these things, I'm like, I'm out of here. Like I learned nothing. I wasted 2 hours of my time. So how do you bring quality and yet not feeling like that was a pure sales speech for an hour, it was a webinar? So that's kind of like how I feel, and how, what, sometimes I was a bit, but I wanted to learn. But I
Yeah.
really, like, through the process with Mario, we really dissected on what's the objection, how are we going to raise this. So I think it's really interesting, but how to make it our own, that's like our challenge, to sound us and to sound, because we want to offer value.
That's a very good point, because the script and the framework is a starting point. Ultimately, everyone perceives value in different ways. What is value for you is different from what is value for me, and vice versa. So that's why it's really important that you stay true to your style. And even in the last session, I mentioned, like, use this framework as a starting point. The thing though that I want to challenge is that if you want to sell something, right? Because there is a difference between a webinar that is designed to sell, and a webinar and a training that you're expecting a training, a paid training, right? A webinar that is designed to sell is designed, in particular, the goal is to teach someone how to think, not how to do something, because otherwise there is nothing to buy, right? And so I think that sometimes when people come on free webinars or free events or free things, then what they are expecting is the full how to implementation. And that's probably also the mismatch when they're like, well, I didn't know how to implement anything, of course, because you got to pay for it, right? That's what it's designed for. And there is a lot of value in teaching someone how to think instead of teaching how to do something. And that's, I think, also what you need to be aware in terms of your mindset, because otherwise you'll feel that you're under delivering. But in a lot of the training that I run and the sales webinar that I run, people, they have a great experience, but they still don't know how to run a webinar because they need to pay for it. And that's ultimately what you want, people to have a great experience, to
Yeah.
get them to understand how they need to think, but ultimately they need to buy to get the full picture.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's funny. I mean, I'm just going outside the script, but I never been to your webinar, but I heard that you gave that feeling to your audience. So I know you do it well. But, and yeah.
And that's where practice comes into place. I also run an average of 100 webinars a year and done it for about 6 years, 5 years. So you arrive at a point where your webinar, and is most of the time the same webinar refined in different ways. And so at the moment you're looking at the draft version, at the first step, and what you have created like this in 2 weeks. Then you're going to run your first test webinar. You'll find what to improve. You'll find what to change. You'll find where to tweak. And that's, for our side, where the Ultimate Expert program comes into place for our type of training. Or otherwise, if you want to do it on your own, that's your own work on changing, refining it, and adapting it throughout, right? So that's really the answer to this, because a webinar is a never ending. That's not never ending process. Like is always, you can always improve. You can always improve. You can always change. You can always adapt. And in particular, you see what response people give to you, and then you adapt based on the responses. So that I hope this helps. All right, thank
Agree,
you, Adam.
agree, agree, agree.
Oh, sorry, Gary's ahead.
That's all right, Gary, and then Peter.
Thanks for you. Yeah, I was just going to say, with the Padlet thing, I thought worked really well, because I've had a similar coaching thing before, not with webinars, but they used the Padlet as well, but they didn't really layer it. So that's what I found was different, is you had the Padlet and then you had the WhatsApps and then you had the email messaging to kind of like have that constant reinforcement of the directive of what you're actually trying to achieve, which I actually found worked pretty well. And I badmouthed that tool when I did it before, and this actually worked really well. I brought it into my own coaching, so thank you for that. I did it for 2 clients every day. It worked really well,
You're
and
welcome.
appreciate it. And yeah, and just for the webinar stuff in itself, very easy decision to me to actually first get engaged with it. I think it's very good value for money. And then off the back of that, I think it's always good to sort of under promise and over deliver. And I think that's what I've kind of had, where I didn't know what I was expecting. I think like the rest of us, we started off with a helpful templates and stuff to get into webinars, and then that sort of elevated into, oh, actually I could use some implementation around this, and I've been taken on that path, but I've never felt it be like in a sort of forcey way or a salesy way or a negative way. And I think that's rare. So I think you've nailed it in that respect. So yeah, that's my feedback.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. I've worked a lot on this training. I mean, this is probably the 16th or 17th time that we've been delivering it. We do it about 4 or 5 times a year, depending on the years. And I always want to strike a balance between, like, I always want to improve. I always improve on the next round and the next round. And there is something that I've learned is that people don't read. Like, the assumption is people don't read and don't pay attention. So if anyone, because we are busy, like, we are bombarded with messages just as much as our brain can cope, and the society in which we are living in is very difficult to retain information. And so that's why the layering approach is really important, because some people will get the reminder from WhatsApp, other people will see the email, it reminds them about something else. Then you have the Padlet, is a centralized place. There is the Q&A, there is a one-to-one session. Try to layer as many things as possible, because also from the client point of view, people like to learn in different ways. There is no one way that works for everyone. And so I try to implement as many things as possible that can work across the board. Where anyone can find an element that can work for them based on their learning styles. For example, for someone who likes to go very fast, implementing during the webinar, during the training is what works for them. But for someone that likes to process information, take things slower, that's why giving the week to work on the assignments works better for them, because they will not work in that way. So thank you. But that's my thinking. That's my philosophy of training, and I take this very seriously. And thank you for recognizing it. Appreciate it. Peter, you want to say something?
Yeah, so it follows on a bit from what Addis said before, actually, in terms of you were asking about key nuggets that we've got so far. And I continually give away too much information. So people are like, well, why would we engage you? You've already given us the answer. That's what I constantly do. I also share her frustration about joining webinars where it's just a sales fest and it's like, please give me something useful. You've hit the sweet spot here. And I'm a little bit nervous about how I get that right. So I'm not clear on that in my own mind yet. But I think that's been the biggest takeaway for me. Not to be telling, not to be really getting to grips with the how to, but almost.
Yeah, exactly. And everyone has their own journey in this process. All right. Um, that's why I reiterate the message. The best thing that someone can do is that to test different presentation. The principle is give people aha moments, teach people how to think. That's the principle. And then once you have that structure, then you apply to your own style. Because some people, they decide to include some how to as well in it. And that's a style that really works for them, because they say, actually, maybe 1/3 of the webinar is how to, and 2/3 is not. And that's resonate more with my style. All right. So there is ultimately you are the presenter, you are delivering, and then you can test. There are webinars that I did that were too much how to, and I didn't make any sales because it was too much training. And there are webinars that I did where I went too far on the other side, where it was all pitch. And I was like, and people were like, oh, I'm not learning anything here, and you're just selling. But I had to find my way. And so use this as an experimentation. You're never arrived. You're always testing, tweaking, improving. But what's important is that if you know that naturally you're giving away too much, or you're giving away too much how to, if that's your natural starting point, then actually, even if you swing on the other side, the swing, it might feel that it's more of a swing for you than for the audience. Because if you're naturally going to how to, the moment you remove some, it maybe is enough for the, but if it will feel to you, no, it's like I need to share more. And that's why I think external feedback here is really important, because when we are too close to our picture, then it's very difficult to give that objective feedback to ourselves. And that's why we're here. That's why we're part of this process. All right, I gotta move on now, so then we can start. Thanks everyone for the shares. Wang, if you can please put again the link of the paddleboard in the chat. And the worksheet that we are going to use is going to be the worksheet that is here. It's called Session 3 Webinar Email Sequences Chat plus ChatGPT Prompts. So this is the worksheet that I want you to open. And again, you can go in File, make a copy to make your own copy on the Google Drive, or download as a Microsoft Word. We've done this already, so you've seen this before. The most important thing is that you make this template your own. But before we go to the template, here I want to show you different ways in which you are going to engage with your to get actually webinar attendees. And you can see here on this wheel there are a few different ways. One is social media, right? Promotion on social media. Then we can do personal invitations, which is another one. Strategic partners, your email list, if you have one, or text messages. Now, the one that you can use at the beginning, like everyone here has some people on social media and has personal connection. So the ones that you can find on the right, social media, personal invitations, these are the ones to start with. And in particular, if you're doing your test webinar, just as a test, just personal invitation will do the trick. Okay? Because the goal of the test webinar is to test the presentation. That's the goal of your test webinar, is to test the presentation. Is something new. Is a new presentation, is a new style. So unless you are someone that is very used to, which is the caveat, unless you're someone that is very used to running webinars, very used to speaking, very used to presenting, and very used also to selling from presentation, then testing it in a safer environment makes it easier because it means that you have less to lose. I was attending, I've attending speaker training for years. I did a solid 10 years of speaker training, and that was a big part of my passion and also what I wanted to get better at. And there was one thing that my speaker trainer said that always stuck with me. And he said, your first is your worst. Your first is your worst. And I think sometimes we don't play enough with that because I think because we get to a certain level in our business or in our life, either because of age or because of experience, that we forget that we are still doing something for the first time. And so cut yourself some slack because it might be that this first webinar that you're doing in this new format, it might be a winner, but it also might be a car crash. So if you're open, the win, your win is to actually just get it done. Your win is to get it done because you will learn what you need to learn to make it better just by doing it. And that's why I'm forcing you to do it, because otherwise you will not get the lesson. Either is a confirmation, I'm on the right track, or you will get feedback on things to tweak, change, and improve. So if you're new to delivering presentations, you've not done webinars before, just do a few personal invitations for your first test webinar and test it in a safe way. Quick, fast, get it out there. Secondly, if you say, no, actually, I want to get it out there a bit more, then you can use the other strategy, like social media, marketing on social media. And the marketing material we'll create today is based on is the marketing material that you can use on social media and also you can use on your email list. You have an email list, use your email list as well. Now, there are two other parts that I think they will have a place, but only after, and this is more for the long term, only after you've done your first test webinar, which is partners and text messages. Now, let me expand a bit more on these two, and then I'm going to open it up if you have any question on these topics. Partners are an incredible way to tap into new audiences. Remember that after the first 3 webinars that you will do, you will have exhausted your audience. Like the people that could attend that particular webinar, that particular presentation, unless you have hundreds of thousands of followers, which last time I checked, no one here has, or am I missing some? Maybe one person here has actually. But other than that, unless you have hundreds of thousands of followers, then after the first 3 webinars you run, you will see that the registration and show up rates will decline to the point that the last webinar you only have few people. And so instead of using paid advertisement and finding still new audiences, the best ways that we can find is building strategic partnerships. So finding collaborations with other organizations or people that have your audience, but don't sell your same product or service. For example, if you are working as, taking an example in sport performance and you're working on a mental level, it's coming to me, Tom. A good partner can be a nutritionist if you don't cover nutrition in your program, because a sports nutritionist will work with people that are working in sports, with athletes, but they don't offer the mindset part. So now it can become a great partner. Same audience, complementary product or service. And so I always love this story where one of my biggest partners is a LinkedIn trainer, and every year she brings about a $50 to $100,000 of business to me, of direct business, whether it's as part of this program or as other programs that I run. And if you think about it, someone who trains people on how to use LinkedIn, then there is a logical next step of saying, well, you're building your audience on LinkedIn. What do you do with them? Invite them to a webinar. So it's a perfect fit. Same audience, complementary product or service. And for example, for those of you that will want to continue in the Ultimate Expert program, this is a big focus on how we are going to help you expand your audience by finding and building strategic partnerships in the right way, making sure that all the financial checks, finding the right partners, putting the tracking system in place. That's actually what we do in the next level. But the other part is also text messages. Text messages. So text messages, they don't need to be abused, because you can receive a lot of emails. But at the moment you receive a lot of text messages, more of a private channel. Now, because text message, a lot of people don't use text messages, they're actually getting seen almost by everyone compared to an email. So text messages are great, in particular, if you already have an email list and you already have a list of past clients, potential clients. Sending them a text message to invite them to a webinar is actually a great move, because text messages are one of the least used channels that you can find. And the most important thing is that you don't start sending messages every day, right? Because you receive a text message every day, as I block that number. But if every now and then you're inviting me to a webinar, every couple of months, you're saying, hey, I'm doing this webinar, it's all right. And in particular, to get people to show up, sending them a text message or a WhatsApp message will increase your show up rate from an average of 10 to 20% to 30 to 40% on a webinar. Because when we are talking about numbers, now we also want not only people to register, but also people to show up. And normally on a free webinar, you're looking at a 10 to 20% show up rate without reminders, 10% without reminders, 20% if there are a few reminders. Then if you're adding text messages or WhatsApp messages, we can bump this up to like 30, 40, sometimes even 50% show up rate, which now means that you need to have less registration to have the same amount of people showing up to the webinar. And so that's why I'm a huge fan of text messages and WhatsApp messages. I remember when I used to run my in-person events, before going in webinars, I used to run my event company, and at our peak, we were running, I was speaking at 200 events a year, and about 100 a year, I was running them with my company. So we were doing a large volume of events, and about an event a week at that point. And I was voice messaging and video messaging all the people that were registering for the free event. I did it for years. Personal voice, not a one and then copy and paste to everyone. Personal recorded video message. Hey, Peter, I'm looking forward to seeing you at the event. If you have any question, let me know. This is the date. Cannot wait to see you there. Hey, Gary, this is the event. I cannot wait to see you. Hey, Adis, this is the event. I cannot wait to see you there. Thank you for registering again. I did it for years. And when I asked also people, what made you buy from me? One of the things that some people said is like, you actually took the time to send me a personal message. That's what got me to show up instead of attending something else. And this will work in particular if you don't have hundreds of registration. Like you can send 20, 30 messages. It will go a long way. it will go an absolute long way. In particular, is a great as a relationship builder because people see you're willing to take the time to message me and not just having me receive all these automated reminders and emails. So now I'm showing you this, and I'm going to open this up for a few questions for about 5 minutes, and then we are going to move on to the creation of the marketing and sales material. So who would like to start with questions?
I had a question about, I love what you do, the follow-up, the message, the personal. I love it. I've done it myself and I really see the difference, but it has exhausted me. So I was wondering how, and then I was like, that's not sustainable. I could not be doing this for a long time. So obviously this email automation system helps a lot. And I know that video also, you can do like video. Do you use like this video where you just change the name through AI?
No, I've not played with those yet. It's something that I want to play with.
Okay,
Absolutely.
okay. But
But
any
I've not done
tricks
it
on
yet.
like how to keep you motivated to do these little things that take so much time and for me it's like, oh, I'm tired
Yeah,
now.
for me, my motivation is that every webinar registration is a potential client. It's money in the bank. Like I'm thinking, I'm not sending a message. I'm thinking, I'm looking at my bank account as well. That's a good motivation because money motivates me. Another thing that motivates me is that if I know that if I don't do this, I will have less people showing up. So all this work that I've done to get people to register will not give me the same results. So I know that it's not my happy place. Do I enjoy doing that? Hell no. Did it drain me? Yes, absolutely. But at the same time, I see the results, and sometimes to get something that we really like and we really want, we got to do some things that we don't want. So that probably the most honest answer that I can give you. But if that helps, is like I'm like, oh, this person can actually give me some money. Let's talk to them. For me, it's a good motivation. I hope I answered your question, Alex. But also the other AI tools where you can change the name depending on that. That's actually something I want to play with, and I want to see how that lands as well. Stacy.
Hey, Simone. Yeah, quick question just about the test webinar. So I've got some really amazing contacts who have seen me speak and have been, really inspired by my messages that work for some quite large organizations. So they're quite juicy leads, but I've never actually presented anything to them. Initially, when you were talking about test webinar, I was thinking about inviting them because personally I can ask them to come. However, you then went on to say the first is going to be the worst, which I completely understand it will be. Is it worth leaving those quite juicy, lucrative contacts for the subsequent ones and going with less kind of potentially profitable contacts for the
It
first
depends.
one?
It depends how confident you feel about delivering that type of presentation, right? If you feel
Okay.
confident, then go ahead and invite the juice leads. If you say, I'm not sure, I love to test it first and then see how I feel about that, then leave them for the second round.
Okay.
Because it's very personal, right? Sometimes I create new presentations and I feel very confident about it. I'm like, okay, I'm ready to run it.
Okay.
Other times I say, I'm not sure how this is going to land. Let me test it with a smaller group of people. Like, for
Yeah.
example, I tested a presentation with only the past people that attended the accelerator. I did a campaign later on, but no one would have seen it because it was just targeting the past people that attended the accelerator because I wasn't sure about what the response would have been.
Yeah.
And actually, the response was okay, and I'm probably going to now do it more publicly because I'm
Okay.
happy about the response that I got.
Okay. And how important is it that those people are your actual like target audience, or are you kind of just, is it like test of concept? Do you have any kind of
Yeah, it depends on what your goal is, right? Because if your goal is, do I want to test how well will this presentation sell? Then it is important
right?
because only the target audience then will definitely will buy, right?
Mm,
If
mm,
your test, if what you want to test for is the conversion part, yes, is important. If
yeah.
what you want to test for is I want to have a feel about the presentation, no, that's not important because you'll get a feel of the presentation whether they are the right people or not.
Okay. Okay, thank you. That's really
So
helpful.
it's not a straightforward decision, but
Yeah,
based
no,
on
no.
your scenarios, then based on your case, what would you do?
I'm thinking I would go with a small group of not necessarily specialists or juicy leads, as I described them to start off with, and then perhaps, not perhaps, definitely the second one, just go straight in once I've gone through it and I'm feeling confident. Yeah,
All right.
thank you.
Awesome. Brilliant. My pleasure. Okay. Any other questions on what I showed you here on the marketing invitations, email list before? Then we're going to break down into the content.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on paid advertising to get people to come onto the webinar?
Yeah, there is a reason why I haven't put it here. My thoughts is that paid advertising is great if you already have something that converts and already know your numbers, because otherwise it becomes a gamble. Talking to someone who lost 20,000 pounds in Facebook ads, in ads, because I gambled. To look at myself, I gambled. Just I didn't have something that was converting, and I was only wanting people on the database. So my philosophy now is having something that converts first and monetize what I have built so far. Once I've monetized what I've built so far, then I go to partnerships. Once I've exhausted the partnerships that I have, then I can look at paid ads. Because also, unless you're willing to test with about, at least if you're looking in dollars or pounds, like 1,500 to 2,000, that's not even a test. And so doing paid advertisement well, it requires a budget for it, but also it's less of a gamble, because if I know, okay, I need X many registration. If I get X many registration, X people normally show up. And if X many people normally show up, I got this many clients. Now I can budget for it. And that's where ideally I want to go. You can make your webinars in a way that they become very predictable. You're doing the same presentation over and over again. You arrive at a point where you know your numbers. You know, if every time I need X many people show up, and generally I make X amount of money. Once you have that, now you can walk backwards and say, okay, how much am I willing to pay for a registration? How much am I willing to pay for a lead? Because that's not gambling anymore. And then when I say about 1,000 to 2,000, 1,500 to 2,000 to test, is because you want to run a test that is not just the 50 here, 100 there, because otherwise you get 4 or 5 registrations. Like it's not enough to actually test it well with less money. While with 1,000 to 2,000, you can run a test and you say, actually, I can get X many registration, and now from cold, I get this amount of clients, which then brings more money in. So that's my view. That's why paid advertisement will come definitely later. But the goal is that use what you have so far. So start with your audience so far, then focus on partnerships, because you already have those connections and relationships that you might have not tapped into yet. They're already close to home without spending any money. And then we go into paid ads. Mario.
Yes, Simone, the question is, I had done some webinars some years back, and I extracted from that a number of emails and so forth. Is it viewed, if I were to these are people that I don't know, of course. This
Yeah.
is just pure, it was on a French webinar platform for human resources people and such.
Mhm.
So it's kind of professionalish. And I'm wondering how, well, first of all, many of those might be dead now, the emails, but also how it would be received to email them on something that they had last seen me 4 years ago.
Yeah, it's okay. I did this with another client recently. Context is everything. So we had a client recently that did a training for the International Coaching Federation, and every year since 2022. So every year does one event for the International Coaching Federation, and he had the registrations from since 2022. And we did, we sent an email that was like, I'm contacting you because you attended or you registered for one of my presentation that I did for the International Coaching Federation back in 2022 on this topic. So now you are creating context. Now I know why you have my data. I'm running this new training and this new webinar on this topic. Is it something you'll be interested in? And then see what they respond. Right. And so for this is what we did, and we got actually quite a lot of registration going back in the past, because no one, like, the relationships, the past relationships that you have, they are worth gold for you. Think about people that attended past training that you deliver. And sometimes maybe they are not the right ideal fit, but talking about partnerships, they can be an ideal partner. They might connect you or invite other people that they know because they've seen you before, right? So one of the best approaches that you can use after you've done your test, your first test, like, it depends how confident you feel about the webinar, but either as part of your test webinar or after your first test webinar, is going back to this database of people where you've delivered training before, that they've seen you in the past, that you have some context with. And either, depending on the context of where they saw you, if they're interested directly in the training, or if they know someone that could be interested in the training. That's now also how you can use their network to get more and more registrations. Did they answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
All right, awesome. Any other question? Jill?
Hi there. Sorry I was late and missed the beginning part. So apologies if I'm asking something that's already
That's okay.
already covered. So just to clarify my understanding and from where we're up to, are we suggesting that we form the people we invite to the test is as many people from this network, and also some carefully selected people from our personal contacts that are right for the type of tests that we want? But we also need a certain volume because only sort of half of those are going to turn up.
Yeah, so when you say this network, are you thinking about this group?
Yeah, this group,
I
sorry.
mean, this is up to you now, if you want to
Okay.
attend each other web, because that's not what I meant. Actually,
Okay,
but
you.
this is something that I'll invite people to do, is to show up for each other webinars. Of course, someone cannot show up to everyone's webinars because otherwise I spend all the month attending
Yeah.
webinars, right? But part of one of the task is going to be also seeing, okay, exchanging webinars favors. Like I'll attend yours, you attend mine, we give each other feedback. That's also
Yeah.
part of the process that we are doing. But otherwise is to stay close to home. So it depends on how confident you are in delivering that presentation. If you feel that you're pretty confident, then you can already invite your network, your email list, past clients. You say, I'm happy with it. Like I want to get out in that way. If you are not confident and you want to test it first, then invite a closer group of people that you know, and then test it with those. And then you can promote it in a wider scale. Yeah.
So is there a kind of a number though that you'd be looking at as an absolute minimum?
As
to
an absolute
invite?
minimum, I'm looking at 20 registrations. Now, remember one thing, the closer the people are to you, the more likely they are to show up as well.
Yeah, yeah.
The colder people are to you, the less likely they are to show up. Right. But if you get 20 registrations, sometimes some people did great test webinars and they had 5 registration and 5 people showed up. Right. That depends also on the connection that you have with your network and also their availability, their sense of it. But if you aim for 20 registrations, you're good.
Thank you. That's really helpful.
All right.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Addis, did you have another question? So you raise your hand, or?
Yes, same. So you said minimum 20 registration. So what is a good number? If minimum is 20, what is a good number?
How long is a piece of string, really? Like, it depends on how many connections that you have. Like, what's a good number for you is different for, so what's a good number for me and what's a good number for someone else, right? But you know that for a test webinar, if you get 20 registration, you're doing a good test webinar, right? Because then we're, for me, like a great number, like a good number of registration when you can always monetize it, often is like over the 50. Over 50 registrations, anything over 50 registration, it gives you higher chances because a numbers game at that point, right? How many people can you be in front of? The more people you're in front of, the more likely you are to make a sale. So if you're aiming for anything over 50, you know that you will have at least, if you're doing the reminders like I teach you and so on, at least 20 people showing up. You have 20 people, 19 people, 18 people showing up. You have something there.
Yeah, thanks.
Enough people to that they can potentially buy. Plus, you have the people that are watching the replay though, because then another 20%, 30% will watch also the replay.
So this is you didn't mention, I don't recall you mentioning about replay before. There are people who say we do not have replay because that's the uniqueness of you joining and taking the time, and replay you will go and you won't have the whole story. And if you do regular webinars, then if you miss this month, you will join the next month. And some say do not do the replays. What is your take on that?
Is personal philosophy. So if you want people to attend live, making it live only and making it exclusive for live will increase attendance rate. However, I had someone giving me a different perspective. And also I looked at my own behavior. I normally only watch replays. Very rarely I actually attend. So there are people that they want to watch replays at twice the speed. And that's what I do. I watch replay at twice the speed. And I wait for that. I'm interested, but I'm waiting for the replay because I know I'm gonna watch it at twice the speed. So that there is a demographic that will do that. And there was actually, but what made me change my mind was something different. Not everyone has the flexibility to be available at a specific time. So now, unless you have a much bigger audience that can do that, now it becomes also quite exclusive. And also, I had another conversation with someone. Is like, I'm a single mom. I can never attend things live, but I always watch replay. Can you send me the replay? And I was raised by a single mom. My mom had she didn't have any time available, and she was doing her studying and reading in the night when she could. And so now for me, I know that maybe I could have more attendees if I do that strategy, but it doesn't feel good to me to exclude a category of people that really want to attend, but just because of their personal situations, actually they can't, but they appreciate the replay. So for me, that's why I always offer replay. Is more from a philosophical point of view than anything else.
With that in mind, then, what's your view on LinkedIn Live? Because then it stays on there, doesn't it? People can then watch
Yeah,
it.
my view on LinkedIn Live is that don't use them to sell. Like, they're great for brand building, but ultimately the reason why we want people to something like Zoom or a webinar software is because it creates an environment that is distraction free. If you're doing a LinkedIn Live, you're actually delivering something in an environment that is designed for distraction. Social media platforms are designed to get you there. So while we are delivering, there is a notification that I see, there is the message that appears. So now, instead of being focused, I'm already distracted enough to be focused on Zoom. If you run it on the platform that is designed for distractions, then also you will have people that will stop watching. They don't even realize they've stopped watching because maybe they're listening to the presentation, they are there, they're watching, and then a message pops up, they click the message, then something else happens, they see a notification, now they're distracted, they're off, and they don't even watch the LinkedIn Live anymore. So I like LinkedIn Live for brand building, but not for converting. All right, I can take one more question and then we gotta move on. We gotta be more time for a Q&A later. Yeah, Gary?
It was not going to be a question. It was just to kind of pivot on that live and replay thing because I'm
Yeah.
the same as you. I watch things on 2x speed. But I think what would be good is if you said like the things that were available on live aren't available in the replay, or there's something that's available on live but not in the replay. So you kind of captivate. You can get the same experience, you get the same content, but this was only offered from the live because there was limited spots, something like that.
Yeah, there are people that basically sometimes they cut the Q&A from there, but I like to give a time limit for the replay. That I do. So 48 hours, because someone can always find 48 hours to watch it. So I'll say the replay is available for 48 hours, and then I take it down, and then I disable it. And that gives enough flexibility, but also enough urgency for people to watch it without keeping that open and say, I'll watch it later, I'll watch it later, I'll watch it later. I personally, whatever I do live, I also want people to watch on the replay, because even if I cut the Q&A, sometimes in the Q&A, they're buying questions. like one of the reasons why the Q&A exists is because they're buying questions. Like, what happens if I buy? What happens if I there? Do you have another date? And so I want those, and also is another way to showcase my skills in a way that is not prescripted in a Q&A. I want to show you that I know my stuff. And so I'm not a big fan of hiding those. But there are people that do, and at that time you can play with different strategies. There are people that give a free gift at the end for people that stay until the end. There are people that do that. That's a strategy that works really well. So when you then layer things, you can play with different strategies. But at the moment, I just want, like for this course, I want people to get their webinar done. For the replay, is your personal choice. You don't want to offer it, you don't offer it. You want to offer it for a limited time, you can offer it for a limited time. You can offer it for extended time, you can offer it for extended time. I explained already pros and cons, so then you can make your own decision on those. All right, thank you, Gary. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next segment, and we are going to start working on your different campaigns. So this is if you're running a test webinar with only a few people, because you want to test your presentation and that's your primary goal, is just to test the flow of the presentation. You don't need what I'm showing you right now. You will need this for later. If you're using your test webinar to sell and to test conversion and you want to test the full process, then you can also do the full process. Now, normally a webinar promotional campaign is divided in three parts. The first one is the promotion, and the goal of the promotion is to get people to register. That's where the goal of the promotional campaign is. And normally starts 14 days before the webinar. Then we have an engagement campaign. The engagement campaign starts 3 days before, and the goal of the engagement campaign is to get the people that have registered to show up. So when we are looking at the engagement campaign and the messages of this campaign, they are not going public. They're only going to be the reminder messages for the people that have registered to show up. And then we have the final one, which is the conversion, which generally happens within the 5 days after the webinar, 0 to 5 days after the webinar. And that's where the conversion happens. So the goal of the conversion is only for the people that have registered to receive the sales messages. So the promotion to get people to register, the engagement to get people to show up, the conversion to get people to buy. These are the three outcomes of these campaigns. And what I want to give you is the breakdown of what types of messages would you put on these campaigns, and then we are going to work on the worksheets so you can start. Now, on the promotional campaign, we start 14 days before. And before you ask even, in the worksheet is also written how many days before and how many days after you need to send everything. So I know some people already have that question, it's going to be answered on the worksheet. Under each email or social media post, there is already how many days before or after needs to be sent. Now, on the promotional side, what the first one would want is to generate curiosity first. Hey, I'm running something new. Because in particular, you want to create a bit of a buzz and a bit of unknown. So the first one doesn't give a lot of information, it's just to generate curiosity and to see who are the low-hanging fruits or the people that will be interested to get registered straight away. Then we have another type of promotional message, which is a case study or a story. We're not talking, it's a client story, a client that you worked with, that implemented some of the things that you're going to teach on the webinar. This is a great one. Now, it can also be a personal story because you can be your own case study. So it can be an external client or can be your own personal story. You can decide here. And then we have three different promotional emails and social media messages, one for each theme. Because remember, every theme that you have selected is an objection that you're handling or a problem that you're solving. And so by focusing an email or a message on a specific theme, what you're actually doing is to target the individual who is interested in that specific thing to attend the webinar. Because every person that will register will have one thing or another that will be more interested in terms of learning. Think about how you, when you register on a webinar, there might be one or two things, maybe one thing that really got your attention more than others, or there is maybe an answer that you want to get more than other answers. And that's why we are looking at 3 different messages, one for each theme. And then the final one is a reminder. It's a final reminder. It's like this is the closer to registration, like closer to the webinar, even if they've not registered. I found that I always get webinar registration the day before or the same day of the webinar, always, just because there is that reminder. So that's that's the promotional campaign. Then we're going to move into the engagement campaign. The engagement campaign looks something like this. First of all, there is a thank you message. This is automatically delivered when they register. There is a thank you message. The thank you message must have a recap of what they're going to receive and what they're going to learn. Sometimes I see people thank you email say thank you for registering. There is nothing else. No, thank you for registering. You registered for this webinar. This is what you're going to learn. Is the only email that is the one that is going to be opened the most of all the emails that the people receive. If you think about your own behavior, when you register for something, you receive a confirmation for that registration. Very often you're going to open that email of confirmation because you want to make sure that it checks. So that one is a great opportunity for you to remind them. And then we have 3 different email reminders. And the different topics of the 3 different email reminders, you've seen them before, right? About you, about your method, and about them. Can anyone tell me where have we seen this before? You're going to mute yourself if you remember.
We covered it in the worksheet, didn't we?
Do you remember the context?
So what we want them to believe about me, about the method, and about them.
Exactly. So if you want people to buy from you, they need to believe 3 things. They need to believe in you, in your method, and in themselves. If they believe in you, they buy from you. If they believe in what you do, they'll buy into what you do. If they believe in themselves, they'll buy that they can do it. And you need these 3 different buys. So why wait for the webinar to get them to see those things? So even if you're repeating the same things on the webinar, what we want to do is to already prepare them. So there is an email about you, about your story, so they can connect with you. There is another one that talks about why the way you work is unique and different. And then there is another one about why it's going to work for them. So now the people that read those, they come to the webinar, they're already pre-sold. And they're already coming with a different buying behavior. This increases conversions like crazy and also attendance because they rebuy into the webinar as well. And then the other part is the conversion. Now, this depending on how aggressive, I don't want to use the word aggressive, how persistent you want to be in your sales emails or not. You can see that there are 2 different colors. The one in black, they are the one that you should actually is a must send. The one in gray is if you would like to, because basically there are about 10 emails or 12 emails that you're sending in 5 days. So if you're following this, you're basically sending 2 emails a day to sell, which for some people is like, no, it's a bit too much. I don't want to do that. I don't like when people do it to me. So I personally do that. I personally send after the webinar 2 emails a day for 5 days. They will have a high number of unsubscribe, absolutely. But the only thing that changed if I send less emails is that I made less money. I've tested it for so many times, and the things that changed was my bank account. So I stick with these emails. Now, there are some people that say, no, I don't want to do that. I don't like it. So I tone it down, but at least you want to have at least 1 email a day for 5 days. And so the first one is on the same day where you do the webinar, where you give them the replay and you let them know that what the offer is. And by the way, if you're inviting people to a call, you don't sell something directly, you say, and you can book a call here. Right? So if you're selling something directly, you say, hey, this is the offer, buy now. If you're not selling something directly, say, hey, you can book a call so we can explore how we can work together. That's your offer. Then there is another email about what is included. So that's where you give a breakdown. This is how my offer works. If you're booking a call, is what they can expect from the call. That's the difference. Another one is 5 reasons why they should buy. I love this email, but it is up to you. A case study. And another one, so is a client case study or a client story. Another one talks about the general results. So the difference is that a case study goes deeper on one person or one company or one thing that you do. And the other one is a result, which is basically like multiple results that people got with you. So we like stack the results of past clients that work with you. By the way, if you have a new business and you don't have enough of these case studies and you don't have enough of these stories, then you can use a personal story here. So again, your own case studies, and you can skip this one. Or you can use a story of how you have worked in a company and did that. And talking about case studies and stories, they are things that you have already, they don't need to be relevant for what you're currently offering. Now, some of the case studies that I do, that I show, they are not related to a particular offer that I sell, but no one can take away from me that I've done that work. No one can take away from you that you have done that work, even if it was years ago. So don't get caught up. No, I don't have these results for this particular offer that I'm selling. No, forget that. If you have a relevant story of work that you did for another organization, work that you did for other clients, result that people had it from another program, as long as the context is the same, you can use those as well. Then you have other emails. One is frequently asked question where you want to answer. So now we are going down towards the decision making. So you're going to frequently asked question or answering objections that they have. And then you have another one, which is last day and inviting them to questions, for questions. So you can see that now, and remember, those emails, they're only received by the people that have registered for the webinar, not your entire database, not on social media. The only thing that people see public is the promotional email. Everything, these two, they happen only to the people that have registered. So now we're going to go, now that you have an understanding of this, we're going to see on the worksheet how this is going to look like. And then you're going to play with this. So I'm going to go share this, I'm going to share the screen. And then you all should have open the worksheet, which is the webinar email sequences and ChatGPT prompt. Now there is, for some context, let me show you how this worksheet works first. You can see on the side, if you have the menu, if you don't see the menu, you need to open it. So you can open the menu here. I can see there is an arrow. You open the menu. You can see they are divided in promotional templates, which is the promotional sequence. You have the engagement templates, which is to get people to show up. And then you have the conversion templates, which is to get people to buy. You can see that for every template that I gave you, I'll tell you when you should send it. So this is the promotional schedule. 14 days before, 7 days before, 5 days, 3 days, 2 days, 1 day before the webinar. Then for the engagement, when they should receive it, a registration, 2 days before the webinar, the day before the webinar, the same day of the webinar. And then the conversion templates, which day one is basically the day of the webinar. Day two is the day after the webinar. So day one, it considers the day of the webinar. Now, this is how this works. And then I'm going to open this up for questions. You will see that there are, we are going to start from the top one. You're going to see that throughout the worksheet, there are yellow brackets. The yellow brackets are the things that you substitute, the things that you change. All right, these are the yellow brackets. These are the things that you will change. And so what you're doing is then copy and paste this prompt into ChatGPT. And then put something around it. So I'm going to show you now. I'm going to pick a webinar and then show it to you. And I will love to get a volunteer for this part because I'm going to show this for about 15 minutes with a volunteer. And then Gary was the first person I saw. Okay, Gary, you're up. Was the first hands that I saw in the screen, so I'll take Gary. So we're gonna work with Gary then you can go into breakout room and then you can play with this. And again, you have an entire week to complete it and get feedback. So Gary, you can unmute yourself, please.
Yep.
All right. Question is, are you already accustomed to using ChatGPT for content creation or not?
Yeah.
You are. Perfect. Do you already have your own chat that creates content for you?
I use a different program, but yes.
Okay, all right. The reason why I asked Gary this question is because depending on where you are, some of you might be in a situation where they've already have like a custom chat that creates that you have trained in your own tone, in your own style, in your own voice. So if you have used that, use that chat because it already knows you and your tone and your voice and style. If you haven't used that, that's okay. You use a new chat. This is the difference because we have different levels of people that in terms of the AI use. Some people have already invested time creating their own content bot, and some people are like, I'm starting using ChatGPT right now. So Gary, in this case, because I'm showing it to you, I'm going to use the normal chat, and then you can replicate to your custom chat.
Cool.
But what everyone is going to do is to open your ChatGPT again. If you have your own content bot, you can continue from a content bot that you have created. Like for example, these are all the content. This is my content bot that I used to create all my content. But I'm going to start with a new one, and I'm going to take the first prompt. And the first prompt is act as a copywriter. The goal is to create a marketing campaign to promote my upcoming free training called, I'll put the webinar title and subtitle. The target audience for the campaign is, insert the target audience. My writing style is, you put your writing style. How do you like to write? I have attached the document with my webinar content and the offer I will sell on the webinar for context. So all the worksheets that we have done, now you can upload them. For now, understand the context, the content of the document and summarize what you understand about the webinar and offer. So I'm going to take this one and I'm going to put it into ChatGPT here. And I'm going to take Gary's worksheets. So let me go here.
Can I ask Simone, where is this the actual prompt sheet? I couldn't see it.
Is in the worksheet for today. Is the one that I asked to open today. So if you go on Padlet in the resources.
Resources, okay, yeah.
Yeah, they're always here. It's the one on the first column.
Cool.
Okay, so this is the offer. Oh, Gary, I'm going to download it. You will already have your worksheet, so I'm just gonna, you can upload it. I'm just gonna take them from here. And then you can upload, here, upload from your computer. I have the two worksheets. Now, Gary, let's look at what is the title of your title and subtitle of your webinar?
I think the mindset advantage or something like that. Let me just find it.
I have Rewire Your Business.
Yeah, go with that.
Is it this one? The Entrepreneur Path to Sustainable Success?
Yes.
And then the neural strategy method for aspiring entrepreneurs to be on thriving business, transform mindset. Okay, perfect. And by the way, anyone here, you can decide to either watch it, or if you're already used to do AI, you can already start working on it. That depends on if you like to watch, because I'm going through this demonstration to show you everything, but then you can decide to watch depending on where you are with AI, or to just get going if you have used prompts before. To build, try and transform the mindset without overwhelm.
Oh, sorry, Simone, just a quick one. This is
Yeah.
Ben. Yeah, I don't mind working on mine right now, but I wanted to copy your feedback into the webinar.
Right.
I tried to do a copy and paste of your of everything you wrote, but Padlet won't let me do that.
No?
Yeah, I just tried to select all your entire feedback,
Okay.
and it gives me different options when I right click on it.
Okay, Wang, can you send Ben via email his feedback, please?
Thanks.
You're welcome. That's something I wasn't aware of, so we'll definitely need to figure it out. The target.
I don't know if it's something with the setup, Ben, because I did it just earlier, so I was able to just copy and paste it.
I'll try again.
Okay. So now, as you can see here, everything that I ask on the prompts is something that we have done before. So the target audience for my campaign is, again, I'm going to do on the webinar worksheet, and I have the target audience here. I think it's this one. There you go. So anything that I'm going to ask you to do has been really building up for this on the creation of the marketing material. So then on the next part, when you say insert your target audience, I've inserted Gary's target audience. And then my writing style is, what is your writing style, Gary? How do you like to write?
I'll just say quite personable. I try not to use very technical language. You know, I always like try to dumb things down to make a seventh grade level.
Personable, 7th grade level. Do you use humor? Are you more technical? Are you more inspiring? What's your normally writing style?
Oh yeah, I use humor. I think I'm funny. Some people don't.
Humor. Humor. I don't know how to spell it. No, not honor. How do you spell humor?
HUMOUR.
You are.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Writing style, humor. Anything else you want to add to your writing style?
No, that's fine.
Okay. I have attached my document, the document with my webinar, content and the offer I will sell on the webinar for context. For now, understand the content of the document and summarize what you understand about the webinar and the offer. Boom. The reason why the first prompt is ask them to understand and summarize is because we want to understand, does ChatGPT, is he getting it right? We don't want to get ChatGPT to start writing straight away. So that's why. So now it gives me a summary of the webinar, the target audience, the core problems. Just give me the webinar content and themes, the offer. Okay. All right. So now we have the first one. Then we are going to move to the second one, and the second prompt, which is the email one. And by the way, when I say email, you can use the same content for email and social media. I personally use the same. I don't differentiate. The same thing that I send by email is the same thing I use as social media promotion. So I'm going to use now, create the first message of the marketing campaign, create curiosity around my free upcoming training. Gonna copy and paste. You can see there was no yellow, so nothing to change. Like you only change when you see something yellow. Otherwise, nothing to change. So we're going to do here. Now, Gary, you can read it, and then you can let me know actually if you're happy with it or if there is something that you would like to change.
No, that's good.
Yeah, that's good. Now, when everyone is working, anyone here that is working with ChatGPT, sometimes if you don't like what ChatGPT write, maybe it's not in your tone, maybe it's not in your style, you want it longer, you want it shorter, instruct it. Because it's going to take the style that you give them with you, right? With the future prompt. So for anyone here that you will do this process and you will say, actually, I don't like what you wrote, I don't like the style, I need it different, or there is too much repetition of the same words, write it. That you can interact with ChatGPT. Imagine that you're training a copywriter, a junior copywriter, and you need to let them know, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, this is what I will do different, and you will register and then improve as you go along. So when you see the first few messages, go back and forth. If there is something you want to change, go back and forth, and then you can move to the next prompt. Gary said he liked it. Right? So we're going to go now into the second one. Now write another promotional messages mentioning that during the training, I will talk about theme 1. So we're going to put this here. And theme 1 is
Clarity and direction.
clarity and direction. So here, as part of the feedback that I think I would have given you, I'm not sure if I gave you this part of feedback, but clarity and direction, you're already giving away the answer here. So I'm going to rephrase it because you don't want clarity and direction to be the theme that you're going to put in the marketing material. Oh, but it's this one. How to create clarity and vision tailored to your unique business goal. Okay. This is the first one. So we're going to use this one. Talk about how to create clarity and vision. Right. And now the subject is feeling stuck. This might be why. Good one. Hey, first name. And if there is an email, if you're putting on social media, then you remove the first name. Ever feel like you're working hard but not really getting anywhere? Like no matter how much effort you put in your business is just stuck? Here is the right reason, lack of clarity. Most entrepreneurs are trapped in the daily grind because they don't have a clear vision or a strategic plan guiding their decision. Instead, they jump between ideas, react to problems. This is great copy, by the way, and feel consistently overwhelmed. That's why in my upcoming free training, I'm revealing how to create clarity and vision in your business, while most businesses are at secret scaling. Huh? If you ever thought, I don't know what on to focus next, this is for you. So you can see now you can create different messages based on that particular theme. Now let's go into the next one. So now you've seen the themes. I'm going to skip because you will do the same for theme 2 and you will do the same for theme 3. And then now we are doing the final reminder. So now write the final promotional message to remind them to attend the training because this is the last chance to register. So I'm gonna take. Now remember, I'm skipping steps here because this is an overview. But now that you know you've seen the first one, you do the same for theme 2 and theme 3, and then we are doing the final one. The final one is gonna be like this. Now, Gary, do you use emojis when you write normally?
I was just going to say, because the thing is, I find that with ChatGPT or any like generator, the emojis are usually quite sporadic and it looks way too overdone. Whereas this is actually quite good. You know, they're contextual to the information, and then you've got a kind of breakdown of like your no's and your yeses, and then obviously tick box and X's. I've tried to do this before, by the way, and it didn't work. So this is really good. I think it's because you start with the structure first and the logic, and
context is
yeah.
everything. Context is
Yeah.
everything. So right now you're not starting from scratch. You've already given, if you think about the documents that you have uploaded, we have given information about the target audience. You already had the worksheets done. And when anyone writing with artificial intelligence, then one thing to understand is that context is everything, because you can really train it in the way you like it. For example, I like to write without emojis. So when I train mine, I made sure to tell them that I don't use emojis. Never. Very, very rarely. So mine is not gonna have them. But if someone uses them, actually, okay, let's use them. They have a purpose. And now let's move to the I'm gonna take a pause here because just want to check if anyone has any questions on where we got so far, and then I'm going to show you how it's going to look in the next sequences, and then you're going to have time I'm going to allocate time in the breakout rooms where you can play around with it. But I want to check right now if anyone has any questions. Gary, King?
Yeah, hi.
Okay.
Just on ChatGPT,
Yes.
I'm assuming that this is the paid for version of to be able to get this output, or you wouldn't get this on the free version, would you?
You can use also the free version. I have the paid version, which I think is the plus, the $20 a month. I think is an investment. I mean, it's probably one of the best things that I did that I spend money on for the amount of things that I use it for, because I use it for everything. But when you get to uh, creating like things like when you get to using AI into a way to really work on your business, like I've created an entire content assistant that is trained on post articles that I've done, and you can only do it with the paid version, for example. With the paid version, it gives you more flexibility, gives you, but to be honest, you can get great results also on the free version.
I
So
was
it's
using it
not
this
necessary.
morning. I was using it this morning. Sorry, Simone. I was using it this morning, and it's just stopped working once I'd used the amount that you're allowed, like four goes or something. But it just completely wouldn't give me any more
Yeah,
any
that's the
not.
restriction. That's the restriction.
Yeah,
So
but I wondered whether that had updated because I've used it before, but I haven't used it for a while because I'm paying for Perplexity at the moment. I'm just wondering about switching the subscription over. There's a difference in Perplexity to ChatGPT I've noticed since working with you on this because
yeah,
they've got a different language, different tone.
it
Uh,
has, and also I don't know enough about other models, but it might be worth trying actually doing the prompts on Perplexity and then see what you get out of these prompts. I know ChatGPT, and I'm not one to become an AI expert. I want to use AI in a way for my business, so that's why instead of going down the high rabbit hole, I'm like, ChatGPT can do the things that I want to do. So let me stick with that because I don't need to spend a lot of time learning all the different models, and there might be better models, and I'm sure there are. Um, but that's why I found I can get what I want to get done with ChatGPT. So I haven't explored others. But if you're using already another model that you're paying for, worth exploring that. Other Gary.
Yeah, I was just going to say, in my experience, Perplexity is more of a research tool. ChatGPT is a global tool that brings in, multifaceted uses. So it might be better for this. But I use a thing called Merlin, which no one's heard of, but it uses like multiple languages like Claude and all sorts of things like that. So yeah, there's loads and loads and loads you can use, mate.
But that's why I don't want this to become a conversation about the AI
Yeah,
land.
so
Because we can go down the rabbit hole and then we're not gonna get any work done. And because I've been there before, like it happened during one of the sessions. So I want to avoid it as much as possible. So whatever you're using, try with what you're using. Otherwise, you can use ChatGPT, and upgrading to the $20 a month version, I think is a no-brainer for that. Any questions? Any other
Yeah,
questions?
about the length of the email.
Yes.
Like I have tried different things now, and I have one that has like a visual and it's super short, and one that is more email-like, a bit longer. What is the right, suggested number of words or like structure in terms of wordings?
I generally don't write anything more than 300 words. And but also you can use variety, right? Because if, for example, the first one, the curiosity one, can also be a few lines, can also be quite short. Then you can have a bit longer ones. So I will say that the maximum 300 words, and then you can go as shorter as within that frame. You can go as you want. I like to add variety though. I don't want everything to be 300 words because sometimes even like a great email that I send, which gets me often webinar registration, is, "Hey, I'm running this new free training. Here's the title." Like with the title, you can register here. 2 lines, and is one of the emails that gives me one of the highest amount of webinar registrations, and I do it at the beginning of a campaign, in particular to my email list. So short up to maximum 300. Other questions? Mario?
Yeah, this goes back. This is not chat or GPT, or it's a more fundamental question. So I'm finding myself screaming inside with the idea of sending so many emails to potential webinar attendees, participants. Like, if I understand correctly, at least 5 or 6 before, and so, I mean, is it unreasonable to, instead of putting one theme after the other, for example, to consolidate 3 themes into one email and then one reminder and that's it? In other words, in terms of efficacy or effectiveness, what's the trade-off in being a little bit less?
The trade is that the more they see the message, the more they're likely to register. The one reason why people don't get enough webinar registration, they don't promote it enough. We live in a society where to get something seen, it required to be seen multiple times because we are seeing too many things. And so you can send less and you can test. What I'm inviting people to is this is a very common feeling. Like what you're feeling right now is what about 70% of the people that come to this training feel. And I'm inviting you to test, even if it's not comfortable, and then do maybe a test with 3 and a test with 6 and see which one gives you the best results. The reason why I have this is because I've tried over the years with many models, and the more I promote, the more I get registrations. That's the only truth that I found, not only for me but also for a lot of other people. But it's a journey to get there. I get it. It's a journey to get there. And so if you prefer to start with 3, know that you're going to get less registrations. So if you're okay with that, that's okay. And you can start with 3 and then increase it. Then test it the other time, next time.
And I assume that you have emails for people who registered and people who did not register.
Correct. In fact, the people that register, then they don't receive anymore. They only go into the people that we looked at different segments, right? So the moment that people register, they don't receive the promotional emails anymore. They only receive the reminders ones.
And this, you have it in your kit, or you
Mhm.
have to do it manually.
No, you have it in Kit. You
Okay.
can do it in Kit. It's like the moment someone registers, apply this tag, you can remove them from the reminders. You can remove them from the promotion. All right, Tom.
Sorry, Simone, can you repeat that? What software you were just talking with Addis about?
I'm going to talk about tech on Friday, on the
Okay.
session on Friday, because also I want this to be focused on the marketing, on the messaging part, and then on Friday is anything technology, because also the reason why I separate them is because everyone has a different software, right? There are thousands of software, and I'm not one to say, oh, you all need to move to this software. If the one that you use is, you will often do the same. They often do these basic things, and so on Friday, that's where we're going to explore how the technology works around this. Ben.
Yeah, so ChatGPT created an email for me, and it doesn't mention ebook or books in that message. I'm just wondering, like, as soon as they see that as ebook, they'll think, "Oh, yeah, I can do it. I can create it using ChatGPT or AI, or use like eDesigner." I mean, I've had a look at how AI has created ebooks, and it's rubbish.
Yeah.
And I've tried to use eDesigner, which they sell it all the time. And I've spoken to the inventors. I'm saying this is so rubbish, and here's why. Blah 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 blah. But anyway,
Okay,
I
so
want to stop people from thinking, oh yeah, I can create an ebook tomorrow using AI.
Perfect. That's your marketing message, right? This is exactly what they need to hear.
But
So,
the marketing email that has been created for me doesn't mention ebooks or AI at the moment.
right. So in that case, you instruct it. So that's where you go back and forth and you say, actually, I would love you to mention these things, and these are missing, and these are why they're important for me.
Right. Okay.
Like you're explaining it to me right now. You're
Yeah.
having the same conversation you're having it with ChatGPT. And if you prefer, you can send a voice note. Like you can explain by voice, and you can say, actually, this is why, if you prefer talking into it. But that's are the things that it needs to know. So then it can create a message based on what you want.
Right.
Okay?
Merci beaucoup. Grazie.
Prego, you're welcome. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to go for a 10
Sorry,
minute.
I have a question.
Okay, what's the question? Then I'll let you know if you're answering before the break or after the break.
Yeah, you can answer after the break.
No, I want to know the question first, because if it's quick, I can respond now.
Yeah, it's just that sometimes I feel like I have these templates and then I'm like, no, I want a tailor-made because it's a friend. And then I got caught into like tailor-mading all the messaging instead of having the template to not look like a template in tailor-made messaging. And that also takes me hours. So I was wondering how, I mean, I'm sure you only use templates, but what's your advice on that?
Yeah, my advice, so you use what ChatGPT gives you and then you modify it. Like it's important that there is a final review from you, so then it sounds like you, and also is your brand, is your message. Like when you see these copy and paste messages that you can see they are AI generated, people that know about AI, they tune out. And also, if you have already a distinctive voice, which is the other part, and you have a very distinctive voice, then editing it then becomes important. Now, the question becomes to you is, do you prefer to write them from scratch yourself? Because these messages, they need to be written anyway, right? The reason why before, and I can send you, and I have templates, which is fill the blank templates, where basically you're writing things manually, but it was taking too long. It was taking a long time for people, because now you're writing a lot of marketing messages and sales messages if you see the amount of one that you have to write. So your call. If you want to write everything manually and use the time to do it manually, because actually you take less time in that way. If you want to start with ChatGPT, see what it gives you, and then modify from there, or do a blend. Say some I'm writing them manually, and some I'm going to use the one that ChatGPT gives me. And so now you're a bit more efficient, because there are some times in my marketing messages that I want to write and there is something in mind and I like to write it. And so I would just I will literally write the message and without using any prompt or any ChatGPT. But that's because I've been writing sales and marketing messages for a number of years. And so I have a distinct voice that I want to come across.
Yeah, no, because I mean, on a side note, what could be also nice is I do a lot of WhatsApp messages to my direct and LinkedIn. And so I use another tone of voice and then I tailor-made to that person. So that's another level of complexity.
Yeah, it is. I mean, what we are doing right now is really the hardest part. Because if you're thinking about setting up a webinar, all the process that we are building it out is a lot of work. It is, because we need to build the webinar, the offer, the emails, and so on. The good thing is that once it's done, the next round is duplicate and tweak, duplicate and tweak. So moving forward, you're just duplicating. So the work needs to be done anyway. Now, the question for you that you can answer is, how do you prefer doing that work? Do you prefer writing them from scratch? Do you prefer using what ChatGPT gives you and edit it? Or do you prefer using a hybrid where you use some from ChatGPT and some you write them yourself? Like, there is no right answer here. There is just what works for you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, you're welcome. Okay, so we're going to go for a 12 minutes break. So at quarter two, we are coming back. So at quarter two, we're coming back, and then we are going to go into breakout rooms, and then you are going to play more with the rest of the prompts to continue with the rest of the sequences. So now we're just taking a good mental break, and then we are going to come back. I'm going to do also another mention about the Ultimate Expert program, and then we're going to go through the final Q&A. So that's what you can expect. So
Simone, what time are we planned to end tonight?
Same time, 8 p.m. UK. So it's always the same time to end. All right, I'll see you back in 12 minutes, quarter two.
Thanks, Simone.
To resume the recording. Okay, perfect. Here is going to tell them that this is going to be a reminder sequence only for the people that have registered. And then again, you have the prompts that you can use. Again, like before, anything in yellow is something that you substitute with what you have already. And then the final one on the conversion template, you can see that you have again a prompt 0 to then put your offer details as well. So at the beginning of every single sequence, there is a prompt that sets the tone. And when you're using AI, this is important for everyone to know. It is important to set the context before you give a set of instructions, and to make sure that it understands what context and what instruction then is going to be asked to follow. If you use that every time you create a new task, then you will make sure that it's not going to go in a direction that you don't want it to go, right? That's why it is important. So here's what's going to happen now. I'm going to open the breakout rooms. Some breakout rooms are of 2 people, some breakout rooms of 3 people. And the way that you're going to be working in a breakout is important. Get to know each other, introduce each other if you have not met them before, and then work with each other work on your own worksheet. And then if you have something that you would like to get feedback on, then say, hey, I would love to get feedback on this particular email. What do you think? So use this time to help each other out as well. So now I'm going to open the breakout rooms, and I think they're here. I'm gonna put 30 minutes. So in 30 minutes, then you are going to be back. Have fun. I'm gonna be here if you need anything. I can come in a room if you're stuck and there is something that you're stuck on, in particular on the process. And yeah, have fun. I'll see you in 30 minutes. Welcome back. So hope you had a good time in your breakout rooms and managed to get some work done. As I mentioned, normally, like before I created these prompts and before AI, people were doing it manually. It will take almost like more than 10 hours of writing to do that, refining, get feedback. But now it's like often in 45, 50 minutes, you can actually get the first draft done and then edit it. So it cut the time completely from what before was like 10 hours of work down to 2 hours of work. And so that's why I decided to change everything on the prompts. And again, start with the one that ChatGPT gives you or whatever AI tool you're using, and then you're going to move it then you're going to edit it personally. So what I'm going to do now, we're going to have the Q&A in about 20 minutes. So then we'll have a good 20 minutes of Q&A at the end. What I want to do now is to give you the assignment for the week, so then you know what's going to happen, and also tell you a bit more about the Ultimate Expert program, and then we are going into the Q&A. Now, in terms of the assignment, you're now used to this. You know the drill, right? You got until Sunday, the end of Sunday, to complete your webinar email sequence worksheet. And then there's going to be a site on Padlet, which is going to be the only new column on Padlet that you will see. And you will add your sequences there so then you can get feedback. Also, we have the webinar text setup session on Friday. The time is different, it's a bit early. So make sure that you check the calendar that I sent you. I'll repost it also in the WhatsApp group you received, also in the email, but that's where you can ask all your tech questions. During that session, I will also show you the webinar software that we use. So then if you would like to use them, you can, but otherwise, if you don't want to add another subscription, you can stay with a normal Zoom account. And I will talk about tech, pros and cons of using a webinar software, Zoom account. So that's is going to be specific for that particular part. And also the integrations of the email sequences. So if you have particular tools that you're using already, and then in your question, you have questions how the things integrate together. That's what I'm going to answer those questions there. Also, I mentioned at the beginning of the call, for those of you that are willing to accept the challenge to run your test webinar in the next 14 days, later on, I will ask, I will put a message in the chat, in the WhatsApp group, for you to tell us when you would like the exact date on when you want to do your test webinar for those of you that accept the challenge. So then we can keep track of it, and then we can check in on you. So say, hey, how did it go? So that's gonna happen next. Also, to wrap up this process, there will be a one-to-one webinar review sessions with me. So now that you have once you have completed everything, then we jump on a call, and then I answer your the last final question, put the final touches on the webinar, so then you're ready and confident to run your test webinar. Those calls, they're going to be booked on a availability basis, first come, first serve basis. I cleared my calendar, so in the next from tomorrow to the next 2 weeks, there is space. The priority is going to be given first to whoever joins the Ultimate Expert program at the beginning. So for those of you that will join the program or you inquire about joining, in fact, all you need to do is to send me an email and say, hey, Simone, I'm interested about joining, and this is the level that I'm interested in, then you will have priority on the one-to-one webinar review session. And then after that, then everyone else will be able to book. So that's how the booking process works. So if you decide to join or you're interested in joining, then you get rewarded for that. Now, as I mentioned, you have until the end of the week to decide to make your decision about joining the Ultimate Expert program. And this becomes the difference between testing something out and becoming great at something. And greatness requires repetition. It's not often a one and done. So we have done a lot of work right now on the accelerator to set up your first test webinar. Now, in terms of having webinars as a business model as a whole, but also having a consistent flow of leads that will go through your webinars, because of course you will need more and more people going through your webinars over the months, that's when the Ultimate Expert program comes in place. And that's my offer for you, to invite you to the Ultimate Expert program, which is our signature program that we run. And that's where we can give you the biggest help that we can give you. Now, the reason why I'm doing this training is for two things. One, to make sure that you understand how to run webinars in the right way. And two, also to give you a sense of what it's like to work with us, what it's like to work with me, what it's like to work with GTeX. And if you like this type of training, if you find yourself making a lot of progress, if you find yourself improving and growing as part of your business as well, just in these short 2 weeks that we had together, just imagine what would it be like if we worked together for a year or two, where your business can go. And I love to use Yelena as an example, as a story for the Ultimate Expert program, because she's an example of the journey of the full spectrum. In fact, she joined our program a few years ago, and at the time she was still contracting. So she wasn't full-time in her business. She was contracting with other companies. So then she would deliver career coaching for them. And their goal was to go full-time into her business. So what we did first, we made sure that the transition from contracting to full-time happened. So when she was around an income of about 50,000 a year that she was happy with, then we made a full transition, and she made a full transition from contracting to her own one-to-one career coaching. Then we started working on other things. Then we started helping her with through webinars and through presentation by selling group offers, online program. And now she runs a six-figure career coaching business. She travels all over the world. She has gotten way more flexibility than she had before. You will not see her much around in the training because she has achieved what she wanted to achieve as part of this program, and I'm super happy for her. But that's an example of what this could give to your business, because my philosophy is that there are a couple of things in part of my philosophy. One is that the more I get to know you, the better I can support you. Right? When you join a lot of different programs, it's always a first time for people to get to know you, your situation, how you work, what's your zone of genius, how you work best, what's good for you, what's not good for you. So the more I get to know you, the better I can support you. But also, results happens also over time. And for me, it's about consistency. Webinar is not a one and done strategy. It's something that you will see when you do them consistently month after month. You look back at the end of the year and you see all these results and you say, wow. But if you just focus on one webinar, then often, unless it's is a big one, then often is not enough. So when you're doing them consistently, though, they will pile up. As I mentioned, it becomes a consistent strategy. And the reason why our program works is because I've decided to include everything that is required for someone to get result, which is the right training, the right support and accountability, the right resources, the right implementation, and then the community. So once you have the full spectrum here, then you can get and you can achieve way more results that you would do on your own, because you know what to do with the right training, you have the support and accountability to actually get it done, you have resources that save you time, you have implementation, like we're doing it together, which forces you to get things done, but also answers your questions like right now while we're here in real time. And then the community to get that group support that we all need, but also connections that can really change your life and business. And the business model that we will want you to implement as part of this program is consistently having clarity about your positioning, your audience, and your business. Using your webinar, which is what we build right now, as your focal point, where you're attracting consistently your leads and potential clients. Then selling incredible offers as part of your webinars, whether they are direct sales or through consultations. And the more webinar you run, the better you become at selling, and the better you become at selling, the more sales you made and the more offer you can sell. Then also making sure that your content is relevant, not only on your email list, but also on your social media, and how everything ties together, because your webinars are part of your business. But if you're taking it as a whole, everything needs to have a flow. Then building your audience with strategic partnerships that can introduce you to and put you in front your ideal clients, where you're leveraging other people's audiences. And then building your profile. Building your profile so then people can trust you, they want to do business with you, and then it will fill more people into your webinars, and it will create more partners, and then the cycle keeps going. And as part of the program, then what we are going to help you with specifically, if we're going to the specific trainings that we are running throughout the year, then we have training making sure that you're clear and focused on your strategy. So then everything in your business comes together instead of feeling like you're pulling 5,000 different things, which often happens. While we can streamline, and be way more focused. Then building your brand. So then you know what you stand for, and other people know what you stand for. And you can build a brand that really speaks your language, that attracts the right people that you want. Creating your high converting product ecosystem. Now your business is not just one offer. You will have multiple offer. How do they link to each other? How do you get people from buy one thing and then buy the next and then jump from one offer to the next? That's the other thing that we are going to help you with. In the conversion part, we will help you validate and launch and create your offers. Because as I mentioned, like the work that we did on one offer, now we can do it on every single offer of your business and then validate them in a way that you get clients even before you launch a new offer. Then becoming great and having sales conversations. I know with a lot of clients that join us because they know they can improve how they run their sales conversations and how they can make more sales through that. So we have a lot of modules and training on selling and creating a space where you can sell to each other while getting feedback. We have actually a training coming up soon on this way. You spend 3 hours selling to each other and getting feedback so you can become better faster. Converting with webinars, making sure that you improve and tweak your webinar, that now you have the first one, making sure that it improves over and over again to the point that every time you run it live, you know you're going to get clients and almost know how much money you're making just based on the registrations. You can get to that point. It takes time. It takes time and it takes discipline, but you can get to that point. Then on the expansion side, making sure that you grow your audience with ideal clients on social media. And then also use strategic partnership to get in front of other people's audiences. So then they are going to be the one feeding you those people. And the great thing about partnerships is that they already have relationships with their clients. So because they've already a relationship with their clients, then the moment they recommend you, you're a trusted source. So now when you work with strategic partnerships, all the webinar stats increase because they already trust the person who is marketing the webinar, which means they're more likely to show up and they're more likely to buy. And that's why I love strategic partnership as a mainly generation tool. And then on top of that, so that you can be more influential, we'll help you become a great presenter, because also part of the sales that you will make on your webinar depends on your communication skills. These are the other part. How good are you at communicating? How good are you at selling? And that's what we're going to help you with. And then finally, also getting known in your industry, getting featured on podcasts, publications, getting the right speaking engagements. Because now your profile grows, now it's easier for the rest of the business to run, and it is easier to create the right partnership that will bring you the right people that will get the webinar that will buy your services and offers. So I'm sure you can see how this picture works, and this is the best that we can give you. You implement this business model, you will get great results. And what I love to do is to show you again now this document, which I'm going to put in the chat. And in the Q&A that we're going to have later, you can ask me any other questions about webinars, or you can ask me also questions about also the program as well. And the document that you see here is always going to be as well at the top of our paddleboard. So it's always going to be there for you for reference. And there is a video with the things that I'm explaining right now. But ultimately, we have 3 levels. The light, which is for you if you're looking for training and community support. That's the main thing that you're looking for. You want to get the training like we did right now, and get the community support, so where you can ask questions in the group, then this is the best option for you. If you're looking also on top of the personalized guidance, on top of the training and community support, if you're also interested in personalized guidance and accountability, where you say, actually, we can monitor your business as it grows, and you have an entire dashboard where you can see how your business grows, then the expert is for you. Now, the great thing about the expert is that instead of just showing up once a month for the training, actually, we have a weekly check-in where we see as well how your business is going and if you need any help as well. And also gives you one-to-one support. Or the ultimate. The ultimate is that if you want also the tech implementation, if you want us to implement and create your online courses, your funnel, your sales pages, write the marketing material and the sales material, that's also what the ultimate is for, right? So then you can see the 3 different levels. As you can see, they are between the light, you get 12 months of support, while the expert and the ultimate, they has up to 24 months. The reason why, because we have a paid on results model. So when you see here on the prices, you can see that, for example, the full price of the light is $3,000. But as part of the offer that you're making right now, on top of the bonuses that you receive, you only pay a third of the program. You only pay $997 or on a payment plan. And then you pay $2,000 when you make $10,000. So you pay $2,000 when you make $10,000 cash. So now the more you earn, the more we earn. We are incentivized to help your business grow. The expert level, the full program for the full 2 years of support is $16,000, but you only pay the $6,000 a year, $5,997. Or pay on a payment plan, which we have payment plans up to 24 months as well. Like the lowest payment plan is $330 a month for 24 months. And then you pay the remaining $10,000 when you make $30,000. And the final one on the ultimate, the price is $30,000, but then you pay only $15,000, $15,997, or payment plans, and then you pay the remaining $15,000 when you make $50,000. So you can see that we are incentivized to help your business grow, and that's for me what GTeX stands for. It's like we are a community. You grow, we grow, and together we can grow much faster. Now, if you decide to join by the end of the week, not only you will pay less compared to the others, but also you have these bonuses that they're only valid if you join by the end of the week. So the first one, if you join the light, you have 30% off one-to-one coaching. And also we will do a podcast feature. I have an email list of about 10,000 people. We'll do a podcast feature for you and your business. We write an article and we'll publish to our list as something that you can use over and over again. If you decide to join the expert level, you get also 4 sessions one-to-one. So you get 4 sessions one-to-one. We'll feature in our podcast. Every time you want to promote one of the webinars, you let us know a couple of weeks in advance. So we will publish it on our newsletter. We will also build the live webinar funnel for you. So the tech implementation, we will do it for you. And also we will build an automated webinar funnel. So we will do also the automated webinar funnel for you. If you decide to join the Ultimate, on top of that, I will also host a webinar for you. We will work on the presentation one-to-one together. I will host it for you and I will help you sell. And everyone that used this one got a great return, but we will do it when you have enough people to make it worth it. Of course, like when we have a good number of registration, then it makes sense for me to show up and help also maximize the sales. So these are the different options. And I know that some people have a few questions normally, which I want to address right now, and then we are going to go into the Q&A. Now, to join, we're going to have a conversation one-to-one anyway. All you need to do, you don't need to pay anything now, you don't need to make a decision right now. What you need to do is to click here to apply. You can see here, you have click here to apply, and there is an email that's going to be sent to me. You send the email, and the email, you'll tell me which level are you interested in. And then when we are having our call, then we will discuss. We can decide how to move forward and also the different payment options as well. Any question that you might have as well about the program, that maybe is something more personal that you want to discuss. Maybe that is not the right time on the Q&A here. You can also let me know as well.
How long is the program, the lead?
Pardon?
Can you remind us how long is this course?
The light or the accelerator?
Yeah, the light.
The light is 12 months.
So you start because it will take a full year from beginning to end?
You will get support for a full year. So the way that we work is that we have an onboarding call when you join. And then on the onboarding call, we make a plan for you with all the training that you will need to attend. So there are things that you will need to attend live, like this one, like the accelerator, and there are things that you can go pre-recorded. And then what I want to make sure is that you don't waste time in trainings that are not necessary for you. And from that moment, you have 12 months of support.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So to answer, I know there are generally some people have a few questions, which they come up. So I want to answer some of these, and then we're going to the Q&A. So some people say I would love to get results before I join another programs. Like, hey, I've just joined this accelerator. You're selling me something else. I get it. Now, for me, this was for us to build a relationship. But there is two things that I know. The people that get the most results are the people that I can follow up with, the people that we can work together, because we can keep them accountable. And so for me, this is a game of momentum. You have more momentum, you build this momentum right now. We keep working together, we keep the momentum going instead of stopping and then something else come into place. And so it works for us because we have already invested enough time to build this relationship, and will work for you also on a business level because you're not breaking the momentum. There is a sense of continuity, which makes a big difference. How much time do you need to dedicate each week? Is about a couple of hours a week, really. But is nothing, but part of the process we do is that when we have our onboarding call, we'll also decide what things that you should stop doing in your business. Because my goal is to find more time for what matters the most, is not add more things to your plate. And that's really, really important. In fact, we're going to remove maybe some of the things that you're doing that are not bringing you many results, replacing them with things that you can do that actually will give you short-term and long-term results. If you're already part of other programs, can you do both at the same time? The ideal is not. The ideal is not, because the problem that you will have is that you'll be pulled into different directions. Now, sometimes if the program are complementary, you're not working on the same things, there is a way to make it work, but otherwise not. So in this situation, what you can do is to pay a deposit and then start the program when you're finished, start the program when you're done. We had plenty of people that said, okay, I love this offer. I love to keep continuing. I'm finishing this program right now, but then I would love to join to start this in 4 months. And in 4 months, there is the start date. We agree on a deposit, and then you can start the program in 4 or 5 months, for example, if that's the case. How fast can you expect to see results? We had people expecting results within the first 30 days. In fact, my goal is to make sure that you have a stronger monetization strategy first, get some cash in the bank, and then move forward with the rest of the program. How can you guarantee my results? I'm not a magician, I'm a business mentor. So Can I guarantee your result? The honest answer is no. Otherwise, I would love to guarantee the results of my own business. But what I know is that if we stick together, something somewhere, somewhat, somehow will change. In fact, we had people, for example, that got results immediately, and people that got results after 6, 7 months, the results that they were looking for, not like small results, like bigger results. But my approach is let's keep the communication active, and there is always something that we can improve. We improve every part, something is going to happen. And so, can I guarantee your results? No. Can I guarantee the process and that we will be there for the process? Absolutely, yes. Will this offer be repeated again? You can join at any time, but not this particular offer. So for you, we give you this incentive because you're part of the accelerator. So the bonuses and the paid or results model, this is just for this time. You want to join another time, you pay the full price, and you can join the normal features that you saw on the document. I cannot start immediately. Can I start later? Yes, absolutely. You can start later. So we agree on a deposit and the start date, and then we decide when to start. Last one, I've joined other programs in the past and they did not work. What if it will not work for you? My answer to this is often sometimes I remember I had bad past relationships, but it doesn't mean that the future needs to equal my past, right? Just because I went on a bad date doesn't mean that there are good people to date out there, right? So my focus and my answer is, did you find that this approach of the accelerator works for you? Do you find value in this? If you like this, you like the program. I can guarantee that. So these are often the questions that people ask. I wanted to address while we are here. And then, so for those of you that are interested in joining, all you need to do is to go on the document that I sent you above, that I sent you on the link, click here to apply. There is an email, you send me the email, and we can get started together and we can have a conversation about which level, price points, payment plans, and so on. I finished my spiel. I hope that many of you will join the program because I love to keep working together. I enjoyed delivering this class to you also, and I think that there is a lot that I can do for your business, but also there is a lot that you can contribute as well to the GTeX community as a whole. Now it is time that I finished. It is time to go to Q&A. We got a good 15 minutes. I can answer any question that you have about webinars, about what we did on a marketing level. I can ask any question about the program as well. Over to you.
So Simone, this isn't a question and has nothing to do with your webinar, but I just want to thank you for putting me with Tom.
Okay, you're welcome.
Because I didn't know my book had been released in Amazon already. I just uploaded it last week. So I didn't know whether they'd accepted it, and he's just my first customer for my latest book. I don't know. I want to celebrate him. I don't know what to do. I want to send him a bottle of wine, but he lives in Florida, and I'm not going to do that right now. But I want to.
Well, Tom, when you come to the UK, you get a bottle of wine from Ben.
Yeah, we'll go out to lunch when I come over there.
It's just so crazy.
I'm
It
happy
was
to
my
hear
pleasure, Ben. My pleasure meeting with you.
Thank you so much.
I mean, we encourage people to do business within the community. This
So,
is
Simone, you've made my day. I wouldn't have met Tom today, and I wouldn't have known my book had been uploaded. He just asked me.
You are welcome, and more credit to Tom than to me then. All right, thanks, Ben. Any other questions? Could be about webinars, could be about the program. Over to you now.
I don't want to be always the only one.
I'm going to go around. So Adis, we can start with you, and then I'm going to check.
No, maybe I go at the end. So then
you go at the end. Okay, so let me check. Jill, do you have any question for today? You're good. Okay, Gary.
Is that the Gary here? I was just
Yeah. So, sorry, Gary Quinley. Yeah, Quigley.
Quigley. That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
It's Irish, believe it or not. No, it was yeah, thank you for another session today. Questions wise, this might come into the tech thing, but I want to know where you get your background from. I think it's very calm and soothing.
Where I get the background?
Yeah, you're blue with the light fixture. I thought it'd be something very easy that I could just look up on Google, and it really ain't.
No, so what I did, I built it on Canva. I can send you the Canva template that I have, no problem with that. And I use a gradient, a blue gradient with a central gradient on Canva. And I tested a few, and this one was the one that I got the best feedback on. So I tested 4 backgrounds. And by the way, I use which, by the way, not everyone needs to use it, but I have a green screen behind me just because I don't like to have the fuzzy image. But you don't need a green screen to run a webinar, by the way, because I know there are some people say, no, I can't run a webinar because I don't have a green screen. No, like this is just a personal thing. But yeah, I'm more than happy to send you the Canva template on that one by email, and you can then duplicate it and modify it.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Thank you.
That's my pleasure.
Yeah, about the program, I have just emailed you, so would love to have a conversation. There are some challenges that I have, but I'll discuss them with you then. And I do
Well,
have to pop off from the free. But yes,
That's okay. That's okay. Thank you for letting me know. And by the way, we don't need to have the conversations about the program with everyone now. That's why I have the calls.
yeah,
So thank you for applying. I appreciate it.
cool. All right, thanks, Manny. Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you, Gary.
Take care.
Other Gary.
No, I don't think I've got any. I've got loads of questions, but none right here, right now, if you know what I mean. It's just that my brain is full of stuff right now. It's been very useful.
Okay. So in that case, first of all, there is a WhatsApp group as well. So
Yes.
if you want to use also the WhatsApp group for question, great. Or otherwise, there is the one-to-one session that we'll have.
That's just reminded me of a question.
Yes.
Thank you. Is actually about the network and what you said right at the start of tonight about the test webinar and the network here, and whether other participants here, attendees here, are interested in passing on their contact details so that we can make that arrangement between us to join each other's webinars for that test. So,
Yeah.
because I know that the WhatsApp group will be closing out soon.
Yeah, I will arrange that on WhatsApp. So on WhatsApp, we'll arrange on like asking who is interested in attending each other's webinar and giving feedback. I think that the best thing it will be also for people to put in the WhatsApp group what the topic is, because also some people they also want to be interested in a specific topic. They want to show up. And then the other part is that when you have your registration link, put it in the WhatsApp group as well, like for registration link to get the first few registrations or to get feedback on the registration page or what you wrote on the registration link. So the WhatsApp group is going to be there for that too. All right. You're welcome, Gary. Okay. Tom, I read your message. So I don't know, Tom, do you have a question?
I do not, Simone, and I have a board meeting starting in 10 minutes, so I'm going to run off and read the financials I was supposed to read yesterday.
All right. Okay. So have a great
Nice
rest
to
of
meet
the
you
day.
all.
Bye, Tom. Okay, we got Ben. Ben, I know you have your hand raised.
Yeah, because you're sending so many emails to so many different people, do you set up like a separate email account for your webinar to separate it from your normal general emails?
No, but I'll set a tagging system. So they all run from the same email account. I don't have a separate one, but I have different lists on my database. And one, for example, is a client list. Then I will have people that have registered for webinars. And depending on the promotion and how relevant the promotion is, I will include or exclude some of the list. That's what
I'm just wondering whether that messes you up in terms of like replying, because I'm guessing if you've run over 100 webinars, that you probably have thousands and thousands of people who you've emailed to and run these email campaigns. The other thing is, are you using? I'm guessing you're using something to automatically send these emails out.
Correct. That's the database, the CRM that I use. So I've been on, which I'm moving right now, but I was on Infusionsoft. Keep is called right now, but I'm moving. I'm moving to a white label version of Go High Level at the moment. And so, you've met Nicola, Ben, our tech expert, right? I think you met her. And she has a white label version of Go Level, so we're able to get a great deal through her.
Right.
And I'm moving everything through Go Level, all my database, sales campaign, CRM, and everything there.
Would you recommend then that if any of us if webinars are going to be one of the components for attracting businesses, and we're running email campaigns, to get one of these solutions?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Ultimately, you want to automate as much as possible. I'm a big fan of automate when you need to automate, not at the start, not at the beginning. So if you're not sure, you're testing something out, then use what you have, keep it as simple as possible. But otherwise, then move to a system that can expand with you. And in fact, like even for example, I have two different systems. I have a system for a CR, like where I send the marketing emails, but then after they register, I have a different webinar system. So my sales emails, actually, they're going from a different system because the majority of unsubscribes, they happen during the sales campaign. So they can unsubscribe from the sales campaign, but I can still contact them for my weekly newsletter, for example. And so that's why I separated the two systems in that way. But I only separated them, what was that? Not even a year ago, actually, starting from November. Even before, I used to do everything in one system.
Right. Okay, thanks. That's yeah.
Yeah.
So because I separate my life out by having different emails. So I'm thinking, all right.
That's it. All right. Thank you, Ben. Let me check Stacy. Don't know if you have any questions, Stacy.
No. Oh, in fact, of course, I do. Everyone does that, say no, and then we do. Just if you could add me to the WhatsApp group, I'd appreciate that. Or if it was Wang to
I can add you. Absolutely. Yeah. No
thanks
problem.
much. Yeah, I'd be keen to follow Gary's suggestion of us testing each other's webinars. I'd really appreciate that.
Absolutely. I'm not sure why you were not in the WhatsApp group. I think I tried to add you, or there was an issue, or let me check again.
It's most likely going to be me. As I've said before, Tech and I are not the best of friends.
All right.
We're working on our relationship.
Okay. All right, no problem. All right, you're welcome, Stacy. Durgamata, any question for you?
Yes, I had quite a lot of trouble trying to get back into ChatGPT. I was on it probably a year or so ago with one of your programs, and I've now got onto it, but I can't find where we get the description of what our writing style is.
So you don't get so that one there is nowhere else. You just write it. Like
Just write it in.
yeah, you write my writing style is, and then you say, oh, it's personable, is like you put some quality words.
I went on Google and searched, but I was only getting single words, like
Yeah, in fact, like for example,
persuasive and
yeah, for example, even when we did the example earlier, we put like single words. So when I ask, I think it was here, my writing style is personable, 7th grade level humor.
right.
That was what we put in this case. So you just want to add some adjectives of what your writing style sounds like.
Okay, and also if you can put me on the WhatsApp.
Okay, absolutely, I will. So you and Stacy.
I like the idea of testing each other's.
All right, you're welcome, Durgamata.
So thank you.
All right, Aris, thank you for your patience. Back to you.
Cool, are you ready?
I'm ready now.
A few things. Last time we talked about guarantee, and you said we'll wait for today, like the value of guarantee. So from what I see, I'm sure you do it, and you do advise it because then it gives more credibility and true. So I guess you do that.
Yes.
I feel like because I mean, just to give you a background, I really thought about it because I truly believe also in the quality of what I'm doing, and if it's, I rather have a like how do you say, reimbursing than a bad customer. And I've seen that some other training houses have it, and then they have, and I had the text and everything in the website, but I wasn't sure how to promote it. And then it says excluding the venue costs, because these are really expensive. So we have fixed costs, so removing those costs as into, yeah.
That works. So that works. The reason why I wanted to explore it here is because we can have a longer conversation about guarantees, because there is not just one type of guarantee. So the standard one is money back guarantee. And you can say, okay, you have a physical training, so attend the training, you don't find it valuable, we'll give you the money back minus venue cost, and you can quantify what the venue costs are going to be like. So then I know when I'm buying, when I'm going to get, what I'm going to get back. So that's one. The other one is a conditional guarantee, which means that a guarantee applies only if something else happens. For example, is used if you want people to go to, like some people, they don't attend something and they ask for the money back. Well,
yeah, no, of course, 100%.
right. So in that case becomes, as
attending.
long as you attend, you do the
Yeah, this
work
for sure,
and
yeah.
you don't see the result. But that's a conditional guarantee, right? Because like a money back guarantee, it means I can come to you and ask for the money back, whether, and you got to say yes.
Yeah, no, 100% attendee. We have even condition on how money back, 100%, 2 weeks.
Right. Okay, that's perfect. So then if you have some parameters of what the money back is going to look like and what they need to do to get that money back, that's a conditional guarantee. Or otherwise there is I don't know what the correct name is, but you can have a guarantee where you can say you don't get the money back, but we can change the type of program that you're on, and you can use the money that you spent on other programs that we have. So that's also another guarantee. Often that guarantee works with clients that you've worked with before, because different guarantees, they apply to different types of audiences. So if you're using a money back guarantee, for example, it works very well with an audience that doesn't know you, because there's a sense of safety. If you are using a guarantee that says, well, if you pay us this money, if it doesn't work out or you want to change, you can move to another program that we have, works very well with past clients, because they already have worked with you, they are inquiring about something else. So for them, working with you is not a problem. Maybe they have some concerns about the new program or what they're joining now. So that type of guarantee works really well for this type of clients.
Yeah, currently I only have one program, so.
In that case, I think like a conditional guarantee for the money back if you attend, and then the metrics that you have, that will work well with you.
Yeah, cool. So that was about guarantee. So and so about guarantee, because I had it in my contract, like in my brochure, you have details if you start looking into it.
Yeah.
But I see that you have a full slide, like guarantee in big. You don't explain, but if you're not happy, guarantee back. So you just remember there's a guarantee, you don't know the condition. But so would you recommend to put it in the webinar? Like if you don't like it, it doesn't work for you, like check, like
Correct.
have a
Like
guarantee.
if you think about it, when you're selling something, you don't want to overwhelm people with too many less relevant details. Like you want to get someone to buy, like you don't want someone to move away from buying. Like if you spend a lot of time reading all the conditions of the guarantee.
No, for sure. I was not planning on, but do you put it there like as a slide, and keep in mind we have a guarantee profile, next slide. Do you put it as a slide so visually people remember?
Yeah, absolutely. If there is a
Yeah.
guarantee, and I'll say, okay, money back guarantee,
Because
or
I've seen your visual.
exactly. No, absolutely. That's important, because I need to see it, because guarantees are a selling point.
Yeah.
Like guarantees are a selling point for people that are interested, but they are not sure, and it becomes okay. So you can see it as a feature. So I want to highlight it.
Yeah. Second question about, I mean, you would talk about technicalities on Friday, so maybe it's a repeat, so it's maybe for Friday, but I do the webinar on Eventbrite. I don't have my own page. Do you suggest to do it, not do it, how to do it?
No, it's okay. You can do it on Eventbrite. Eventbrite acts as a registration page. So you can have it as a registration.
Yeah.
That delivers the Zoom link where they're going to be, and then you have the emails and the contacts. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay,
You don't need to change for this round.
Yeah, very nice. A question about the so we worked on the WCW
WCA, yeah.
The worksheets. And it was not very, okay, now we have to do a presentation. Like that's the next stage.
Yes.
And I mean, I know it's more of a detail, but like, how many slides do you suggest? Do you have special visual? Because we are like in the presentation, it's more about the visual and not about the details. How many slides per, like, and also in presentation, usually you want to avoid slides. So I was like, do you have any elements about what's a good?
So actually the slides part is done on Friday. So on Friday we look at the tech and the slides on Friday. The one thing to know is actually when you're there's a big difference between presenting online and offline.
Yeah.
When you're presenting offline, the rule of less slides the better is true because a completely different context.
Yeah.
Online, in particular when you're selling, the more slides the better. Because every time you change a slide,
online, the more the better.
More the better. So it's flipped.
Ah.
It's completely flipped from in person versus online. So that's why you can find people that can be great in person, but not as great in webinars. Because if you're thinking about it, it's a completely different context. In online, you're naturally distracted. Like if I'm in a room, I'm with you. I feel bad having my laptop and working. If I'm watching a webinar that is free, I can have my emails, I can do things in the background. And so what you want to do is to keep the audience attention as much as possible. So what happens to the brain is that every time you change slide is a brain reset. So it's almost like if you see a movie has generally a camera angle every 3 seconds. Why is that? Because if you watch a scene without a change, your brain gets bored. And so every time you change a slide, you're also resetting the attention and you're almost training that person that something is going to change, so they need to pay attention to the screen. And that's why online, actually, the more slides, the better. If I think about a minimum, what's the minimum number? I think first of all, everyone is a starting point. So if you use 30 slides, for example, for your first presentation, that's all right. I have, I think, for my 60 minutes webinar, I got almost like 150 slides. But every slides can be
one word.
It's one picture that I use for a second, right? But also I didn't start from there. I built, as I mentioned, built a presentation, delivered over time, always change and tweak. And so I will change the slides. So if you start with 30, 35 slides, 40 slides, if you have more than that, even better. But that can do.
And do you use a lot of neuroscience techniques in your webinars? Have you looked into it? And if so, is there like 3 tips you recommend?
What do you mean about
like you mentioned about attention? That's clearly something that, so for example, like clearly on webinars on like attention and reading, having black on white is easier to read and focus as opposed to like other colors, like a white on black. So are like these tips that used on neuroscience?
No, I don't actually. No, because there is not something that I've studied too much. What I know, actually, there are quite a few things that I can share now. So, for example, let's go to a slide.
So typically here, a neuroscience would say make it shorter, make it black font and white letter, and that would or highlight the word so people would read it better.
Yeah,
that's what we would teach in like
No, that's great. I mean, it's not like what I know about the brain, and that's what I use here. And that's something interesting. I'd love to know more about that. What I know is that one, to create a sense of incompletion. So for example, when I'm showing a model like this, one thing happens one after another. Right? So you know that there is something that will need to be completed, but your brain doesn't know what's happening next. So instead of showing you a slide with this,
or the pyramid, right? Like you're also pyramid.
The pyramid as well.
Yeah.
Correct. Right. So anytime I use bullet points or there are multiple concepts that I want to highlight, they all appear one after the other. And this helps the brain, one, knowing where to focus, because if I show you this, your brain doesn't know where to focus, doesn't know what to look at.
Yeah.
But if I show you this, and then this, and then this, and then this, and then, so I'm guiding your attention in that way.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. I can go with and then the other part is, I think is this one. Okay. So this is part of my sales webinars, for example. Like I will use a lot of big pictures.
Mm.
So this, for example, a slide that is on a microsecond. So there's just stays a bit. So it's easy to follow. Now to do this segment, it takes me about 10 seconds.
Mm.
Right? And so as you can see here, I want to make things easy for people. And then if there is more, because sometimes I need to talk about more concepts. So this is, I'm talking about percentage rates on how many buyers you can expect. Now, these are longer sentences because I need to explain some more numbers. And so I will have something like this while I'm talking through, but they always appear one after the other.
Mm. Yeah, animation points.
So animation, they become really important, and then but not having a long segment like this, because then I'll switch to something with images, and then I mean I crack a joke, so I put a lot of humors, so that's. But this is what I want a lot of people to see, and then when I'm going to teaching part, so if I'm explaining a concept, like at a conceptual level, I want to use as many pictures as possible with a few keywords. When I go into method and they need to understand the method,
Yeah, that's clear.
then something like this, and I can talk about the method. So that's how I think about slides in that context.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So just to know, we're not gonna have like a framework for the presentation to turn this into a press, like use 5 slides for this, 1 slide for that.
No, there isn't.
No.
So so they in the framework, in the webinar worksheet.
Yeah.
No, because you actually have it, but easier. So when you in the webinar worksheet, for example, let me take one for Gene, for example. I think it was here. Every bullet point is the slide.
Mm.
So if you start from there, every time you see a bullet point, which means another section, then it becomes a slide.
Okay.
So the
Bullet point slide. Okay.
that I suggested. So that's how you can think bullet point a slide. And on Padlet as well, here you have a few things that can help you out. So scrolling down, there are some slide templates on Google Slides that have been built on this model, but also there is a Canva template.
Perfect. Check
built on that. And this is actually was built on one of our previous participants because they use Canva. So she turned the Google Slide model into a Canva one. And then she said she gave us permission to use it for the future training.
Yeah.
But these are also slide templates that follow the model that we have built together.
So a tip, there's an app called Presenti AI. I don't know if you heard it. So anyway, for I think Presenti as with I instead of double E.
Presenti.
Yeah, I think. And
This
I
one?
think, yeah, and I tried it, and well, maybe you can play around because that would also follow your AI generated.
So the issue that I had, because I tried a lot of these tools and also with Canva, the issue that I had is that the prompt is too long. So I cannot put the full webinar.
Yeah, indeed.
So it will create
100%.
maximum like 10 slides or 15 slides.
And then it's paid. So
And so I'm like, in Canva, I'm playing with some things in Canva, but I'm not ready yet. Because, for example, I was playing with this today actually, because I want to improve. I want to find a way to automate the slide creation. So that's actually one of the next improvement of this training. So I was playing with this today. And in Canva, you can do something where you can take an entire script and put it into a document.
Yeah.
Then, like, for example, this is the document. And I put here, like this is the document of one of the webinars.
Mm-hmm.
And you can do magic switch and then convert to presentation.
Yeah, and not happy?
Well, I'll show you what's coming out. And so I think it will require me more to explain than helping out. But if someone is good already with Canva, they can play with this. Now, this is what's coming out. So it's all text. It's literally just the text like this.
Yeah, whatever.
And so now there are ways to move it because then you can, like, it follows the point of every bullet point is a slide. So it follows that format. But then you need to go into design, layout, and then from here, it can change layouts, and then you can change the text for each slide. So for example, I want a layout where there is a picture here, and there is my text here. So these are some of things that you can do. But I think that it, for me, was overcomplicating to explain to someone else than simplifying things. I'm like, okay, just build your slides. Because
Yeah.
yeah, the problem is that the script is so long compared to the functionality of the tools that are out there so far. And I'm keeping an eye on it because it's one of my priorities. So if someone finds it, please let me know because I'm looking for it.
Yeah, yeah. Clear. If I find something, I'll let you know. Okay, so I really had question on presentation, and then and then in the one-to-one session, is this also the opportunity? Because for example, there was part that were like, no, this feedback is totally wrong, so we
Okay.
ignore it, of course. But last time I mentioned that my belief was not so clear. So these are the things we can
Correct.
talk
Because
through
all
in
the things that
one-to-one.
the best way to use the one-to-one session is making a list of the
Yeah.
things that you're not clear about in order of priorities because we have 45 minutes. So and then we'll tackle as much as all of them in order from the most important to the least important.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask you about the like if you had an outline, you know, as an indication about if it's 1 hour webinar, how much time do you spend on each part as an indicator? Because we had the question of how long should the pitch be? And I remember you said 10 minutes, and we're like, do we want to make this 10 minutes?
No, about 15 minutes at least.
So at least. So we
At
thought,
least
no,
15
we
minutes.
don't do more than 10 minutes. But
So you're not going to sell enough.
yeah, so that's what I want to know about, like how
Yeah,
much
so you
time.
can, so if you want to decide it to divide it in equal way, it will be 15 minutes for the introduction. Then you have 15 minutes for each theme.
For the theme, for each
For the
theme.
theme, there are 3. So you're going to 45. And then you have another 50 minutes for the call to action.
And call to action is speech.
Which is the pitch, right? So, but normally what happens is that you will have sometimes some sections, some themes, it will take you faster to deliver. That's why the test becomes important. Because for example, there is a section, one of the themes of my webinars that I'll take actually about 20 minutes to deliver. And there is another one where I deliver 10. So it doesn't have to be equally split. Now, it depends on how long it's going to take you to deliver that particular message. What I want is to have 10 minutes, 10 to 15, 10 minutes for setting the scene and all the introduction, 10 to 15 maximum. First theme starts within 15 minutes, then the other themes, and then the final pitch and a call to action.
Yeah, okay, yeah, and I have 15 minutes Q&A for us is important, so okay, cool, thank you so much. And any like, would you suggest we'd like to keep it short somehow? So if we do 45 minutes content, 15 minutes Q&A, do you think this is too short compared to 1.5 in terms of output, like
No, it works.
conversion?
No, it works.
Okay, cool.
That can work. Because then you can decide, like then the next test is to do different lengths of webinars. So it's easy to start with the first one.
Yeah.
Then the next test, I'll test one, for example, where I'm taking more time and I'm doing 90 minutes instead of 60.
Yeah, so we test.
Right, because for example, I found that for a product, the specific product I wanted to sell, sometimes 60 minutes is better, but other times 90 minutes is better. And so I'm testing and I'm playing with different things. And so when you take the presentation, then the core is the same, and then you can contract and expand it. For example, if I'm being interviewed on a podcast and I've got 20 minutes, I'm basically having a 20 minutes version of the same presentation that I deliver.
Ah,
Right.
that's another topic.
But that's where things like that's about leveraging, right? Because when you want to sell something, your message needs to be consistent wherever you go. So then it helps you sell the things that you want to sell. And so testing out then with different length, that becomes part of the testing process. And you will see after you run your first test one, you will have enough information to say, was I rushing too much? Was it enough time? Was it too short time? Do I need to improve the content? That's after you run the first test, everything is an idea. When you run the first test, then you have something concrete that you can base something on.
So good. Yeah, for sure.
All right, I'm going to take a question from Durgamat, and then we're going to wrap up because we're already 20 minutes. 20
Yeah,
minutes
very
over.
simple. There was such a lot in what you were answering just now. Will you include these questions and answers in the recording?
Everything is recorded, so everyone is going to have the recordings. Yeah.
Because I hear one thing and then I'm thinking about that, and meanwhile you're answering something else.
That's all right. No, they're all recorded, Durgamata.
Thank you very much.
Okay, people, it's time to wrap up
Nice.
now.
I just had one question.
Last one, though.
Last one.
Last one.
About the emails. So I see sometimes it comes from your inbox and it goes directly to my spam. All your emails go to my spam box. It's like an email. And now currently I haven't like we do kits and we have a low opening rate. It's like not perfect yet. And so I was wondering if I use it, then I will have a lot of people missing my emails.
It's less about Kit because I don't use
Yeah, it's
Kit.
just
Like I'm
automated.
not using Kit for the emails I'm sending you. It happens when you send a lot of marketing emails. I'm looking into it. There are a few things that can happen. They can help, but ultimately, if I'm sending marketing material, then it has a chance to go into spam. The ways not to get it to go into spam is to only emails people that are opening emails. So there are ways, but then we're going too much into technicality. Yeah, isn't is a full
Yeah,
rabbit.
yeah, no, because for me this is super important because now I do one-to-one through my personal. Now I have a company email, and company email / automated is have like a low opening rate. So that's quite important because if I have a great email, no one's opened it, then what's the point?
Yeah, but it also becomes part of the process because anytime you're automating something from an automation software, on a technical level, the email address, their email inboxes, they see the IP address from the email automation software that is sent. So a lot of people are using the software, sending marketing emails. Is more likely that the system recognizes it as a marketing email, right? So I will not worry about it at this stage too much. And I don't want that to stop you from sending the marketing emails or from doing that, because normally like a good open rate from an engaged list would be about 40%.
That's what I have now, but
Right, but it's really good actually. Like 40-50% is amazing on from automation software. Like it's really good. If you're looking at anyone on the field, like when you're below 20%, then you need to worry about it.
Yeah, but it's all people I know, like it's people who know me. But
still doesn't make a difference. Like it doesn't
Yeah,
make a difference on how the inbox read it.
yeah.
You can ask people to save their email put in the primary inbox. That's something in action that you can ask them to do, but nothing more than that.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much, Simone.
All
See you
right.
on Friday.
That's my pleasure. See you on Friday.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Ciao.